My name's Travis Turner, Brick and Loft Realty. I've got Colin with me.
Hello, hello. Yeah, same. Uh, Collen, Working Loft Realty. So
Yeah. Yeah, we've been in real estate for a while, I'd say, and Colin's a hustler, and I'm, started in 2015. So if you want to know a little bit about me, I've sold probably over 400 or 500 deals in my career in 9 years. Like I don't know the exact number because I was on a team, so you don't really get to see those. But done quite a
right.
few transactions, owned over 120 rental properties before. I've owned multifamily, flipped over 100 houses. So I've done quite a bit in my real estate career. Really haven't talked publicly about it very much. Not really my personality, but I think that it's going to help people understand like the real estate game and what to do and that kind of thing.
Right.
But Colin's a little bit fresher, but he reminds me a lot of myself in my young days.
Yeah, no, this is my third year in real estate. I've probably done just under 50 transactions. So
Dang.
like Travis said, I'm a little bit under what he's done, not 400 or 500, but yeah, 3 years in the business, started whenever I was 20 years old. So, you know, I can definitely help the people out that are looking into getting into it, or 18 or 20, 25, whatever, definitely doable.
Yeah,
So
that's young, man. How's it? Is it? It was tough when I was started. I think I was 23. You're younger than me, and it was so hard to get people to buy into me because they were like, "Well, you're just too young to sell real estate. You don't know about handling
right.
large assets and money." Has that been an issue for you too?
Well, I've had like multiple people, like actually I was showing a house yesterday or the day before, and they had called me on the way to the next one, and I guess they didn't know I had picked up so fast. And anyway, they were like, "Man, he's young." And I hear them talking about that. So sometimes it'll get to you, but I mean, most of the time, I mean, it's just how you carry yourself. So as long as you carry yourself, you do good business, you do good by the people, and you actually educate yourself. Don't care how old you are.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I always earned the trust whenever I started speaking and talking knowledge of real estate. Right.
Right.
I've always preached that to so many agents that walk through the doors of it doesn't matter how old you are, as long as you start talking the talk,
Right.
and it's not fake, and people can tell when it's made up. You know what you're talking about. People are going to buy in no matter what. I mean,
Right.
our generation is really taking over now, and we're making our foothold, and it's time for the new generation to step up. Like
Right.
yourself. So age doesn't really play as much of a factor anymore in real estate.
Yeah.
Um, I got a couple questions I wrote down, but obviously, let's start with this one. So what's some advice that you would say, I guess, we just talked about joining the real estate field. What's some advice you think you'd give somebody that's wanting to start in real estate? If they're like, hey, look, I want to do a career in real estate. Real estate's exciting to me. I've seen HGTV. I've seen them
Right.
knock down walls. This looks awesome. And, I love the fact that they get to pick out of 3 houses and I get to make some money, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound realistic?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think a lot of people get into real estate thinking they're just gonna make a ton of money up front, which is not the case. It definitely, I mean, it took me 4 months to sell one house, you know. So, and
A long time.
that's 100 calls a day, and especially if you're starting in a market where you don't know anyone, like freshly moved to this town, and you have a little group of friends, but you haven't really put your foot down and made headway or whatever. But I think the best way to start in real estate is just to get started, and I was just kind of thrown in the deep end, and it was sink or swim. So, and I
Mm,
think that helped me, going from 9 to 5 or whatever, and you work hourly and you're trading time for money. It's you're always guaranteed that X amount. So it provides some security. That's not real estate at all.
mm,
So until you
yeah.
can get that deal flow and keep going, which 2 3 deals, you'd be making a lot more money than you're making at a 9 to 5. But you got to get there first. I think the best way to do that's just go in head first, learn as much as you can, and I think as long as you're paired with the right group of people and you learn the most you can, I think you'll be successful. I just think the biggest thing is just get started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting the ball rolling.
Hmm.
I think that you hit it on the head. I think people jump into the business thinking like, I'm going to make so much money and
Right.
I'm going to sell all these houses. And I've seen how easy it is on TV and they always drive nice cars. And
Right.
it's like anything. You're looking at the top 0.5% maybe of people that are doing real estate. So that's not like the norm. The norm, honestly, if statistically, if you look online, is I think an average agent sells anywhere between 2 and 4 properties a year.
Yeah.
And if you're selling, in Lubbock, it's 150 to $200,000 average. You're talking like 15 to $30,000 in
Yeah.
commissions max, and then you got to pay taxes, and then you have to do a split with your brokerage.
Yeah.
So you're talking, pennies type of thing. You're almost in poverty level if you're
Yeah.
doing, the average. I think we've seen obviously better success that way because we've implemented some stuff that we've learned. And like you
Right.
said, we had sink or swim opportunities where we really were able to just learn, grind, hustle. It's a go get it cut type of business.
Mhm.
It's very tough to get rolling. So I think that's the number one myth that I've seen people get into real estate is they're thinking they see this facade of how easy it can be and how quick
Right.
money you can make. I had there was a guy, I've had a few people jump in and like, hey, look, I've got 30 days that I need to make money before I, start doing something else and don't have as much time. And I'm like, where there's not much we can do in
Yeah.
30 days. I can't even train you on a contract that quick. It's going to take a few times, much less get you some deals rolling. And
Right.
you may fall into something. I sold a house. I felt like my second week of real estate. I was a bouncer at Chimmy's, which if you're familiar with Lubbock, Chimmy's
Right.
was about to be. And, I think you're old enough, right, to
Yeah.
have a drink. Okay. So I was at Chimmy's. I was being a bouncer, and it was TCU weekend. There was a line from Jimmy. I think it was Jimmy John's. I don't know if it's still there. All the way wrapped around the Chimmy's exterior, all the way to the front door. So it's probably like 250 people in line, and we started at 10 a.m. to let everybody in. So when I walked outside to start doing bands, there was a line like wrapped all the way around for the game. People were trying to get a spot, and it was like when it was the place to be.
Right.
And so after I left the door, went to the side door, and where the little gate is where people can get in kind of secretly or whatever.
Right.
And I had a few people that showed up at the side door, and he's like, "Hey man, I really need to get inside. I've got 12 people with me." And I was like, "Not a chance. It's game
Yeah.
day weekend, TCU. It's like my second day on the job. Like I'm good." And he's like, "Look." He's like, I'll buy. I started talking to him. He asked me, what I've got going on. I think he's just trying to get to know me. And I was like, yeah, well, I just started real estate. And he's like, well, no, I'll buy a house. I'm like, sure. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I'm not buying that. And he's like, look, I'll buy a house from you. Here's my information. And I'll also give you $100 to let my friends in. I was like, okay, deal. So let his buddies in, was like, whatever. And hearing from this guy again. He actually called me the next morning. I had like, I was new in real estate. I didn't even think about following up. He
Right.
hit me up and was like, hey, bro, we looking at houses today? And I was like, I guess. Next thing you know, 3 houses in, my first sale ever was a $400,000 brand new garden home. I made like 7 grand, I think, at the time, most money I've ever seen in my life. And I quit my job at Chimmy's like a month later and was like, this is awesome. This is easy. Jumped straight into real estate and didn't sell another house for another 4 months.
Yeah.
So similar experience. I got jaded in the beginning because I thought it was gonna be so easy getting this deal done, making a huge chunk of money.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is easy. And the next thing you know, I got hit with reality of like, oh crap, that was like an anomaly. That was something that's not the norm. And
Right.
I was like, now I really gotta hustle and freaking grind. And yeah, then that's when reality set in. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was what happened when I first started in real estate. And it was tough, man. It really was. So yeah, if you're starting in real estate, it's not super, super easy. And don't let people tell, everybody's mom's gonna tell you you're awesome. You could be great at real estate, but really start shadowing people, maybe do some research before you do anything, like
Mhm.
look online, research about it, look up statistics, and make sure it's something you can stomach. I'd say startup costs probably like $3,000 to get licensing, all the fees paid, all your MLS dues done,
Right.
and first month of brokerage fees is
Mhm.
what you're going to need, and you're going to want some money, obviously, to like live, eat, pay rent after that. So
Yeah.
it's not an easy gig to get into. There's a little bit of barrier entry, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that, if you kind of just want to see if you even like the industry before you go and do all that, spend all that money and do everything, maybe hit up somebody in your area, whether you're in Lubbock, Dallas, Austin, anywhere in the United States or whatever. Maybe hit up an agent that you know of or your parents used, and, mentor with them
Yeah,
and say, hey, can I come work for you 3 days a week, just kind of see how real estate goes, or offer to set appointments for them or do whatever. Then you're getting involved, you're learning a little bit more about it, so when you actually do, if you do decide that that's something you want to do, I think that you're miles ahead of everyone else. So I did the same thing. So I mentored with someone like almost a whole year while I went to college and did all my classes for real estate. And third week I was teaching classes at a brokerage.
that's awesome.
So it's like I was teaching new agents, and I'm a new agent, how to run like comparative market analysis, that sort of thing. And was teaching, a whole bunch of different classes to newer agents, and and I was always the youngest one at my brokerage.
Yeah, I can see
You
that.
know, everyone was like 30 years older than me, and I was teaching them, and so it was a pretty cool moment for me. But I think that's if you're gonna get started, like I said, just go ahead and do it. But if you don't have the money now and you want to see if you even like it, see if you
Yeah.
can mentor.
Let me ask you a question too on that note. Whenever you mentored,
Mhm.
did you get paid for that internship, for that mentorship?
Yeah,
You did.
I did. Yeah, so
Okay.
I was working at a
Not what I thought you were gonna say.
yeah, no, I was working at like a paper company, and man, I was 8 to 5, whatever, and I was like, man, sometimes even 6 to 6.
Was this Dunder Mifflin?
It was basically Dunder Mifflin. But no, it's a company called Slate Group here in Lubbock. But anyway, I was working there and I was like, man, I need to do something else. Like I was just kind of feeling stuck, didn't really know. And I know there's a lot of people that are my age or around my age that are maybe going to college or, don't really know if they're even going to use the degree that they're getting. And so I was kind of in that position, and I had someone reach out to me, and they were like, "Hey, my my TC just quit, and if you want to come and help me out with some things, then I'll pay you while you go to school."
That's pretty cool.
And so I was basically just, it's not like I made a ton of money mentoring with this guy, but he paid me basically what I was making at the paper company. So I
Mhm.
really didn't have any cut in wages or anything. I could still afford to do what I needed to do, pay my bills, that sort of thing. And then, but also on the side, like I was really, really learning and getting a jump head start while actually learning the insides and outs of, real estate. Because 99% of the stuff you learn in the class, you don't use
Yeah, that's so
in
true.
yeah, you're not gonna use
So
it in everyday life. So,
it's yeah, so I'd say you're also a special case because I've heard so many people say, yeah, you don't expect to be paid in the real estate profession if you're trying to learn, right? Because you, like
right,
in school and you go to college, you're paying for classes to be taught, right? The
right,
same thing in real estate. It's like if you're trying to learn the business and you're trying to learn from some of the best people in the game and they're going to take you under their wing and show you the ropes, you're basically getting education for free. So
right,
almost you in my mind, you should be paying them, or if we were teaching, they would be paying us. A lot of
right,
times, we're not going to make somebody pay, but don't necessarily expect to get paid doing real
right.
estate. Number one, you can't get paid much without a license anyway, and
Yeah,
number two, you're the person is taking time out of their day to pour into you and teach you certain
right,
things while you're learning. So it's like it's you shouldn't get taught and paid by somebody that's better in the profession. And so I think that's a lot of people are like looking for a spot at a brokerage to work and like, hey, I'd love to learn how to real estate, but I'd like to make some money at the same time at the
mhm,
brokerage. And a lot of times there's it's commission based. So I tell people it's fine to have a second job.
right,
Likely not going to be inside the brokerage, but it could be.
mhm,
For the most part, you'd have to have a second job. Like I worked at Chimmy's and did real estate.
yeah,
I was working 80 hours a week. It's part of it. It's sacrificing my time, time with friends, time
mhm,
doing certain things, but it was worth it because you're building your own business.
yeah,
I think that's what a lot of people miss is it's your own business. You have to work
right,
at it and you're really trying to build something from the ground up.
yeah, exactly. And I think that, I had the option of either doing, I could do commission based or base salary, and he'd match what I was being paid now.
Mm,
And every single part of me wishes I would have done the commission base because it would have thrown me even more so in the deep end, and I would have made a ton more money.
yeah.
Because he was like every appointment and every listing and all of that I get for him and set that for him, I would make a certain percentage.
Yeah. And
Right.
at the time, you probably had the same thought of most people, right? Of commission, like scary.
Yeah.
You have like,
Yep.
you okay, I can get guaranteed money, but
Right.
profit potential for commissions. So you're
Right.
looking back and you're like, man, I should have taken that leap. And I think it's a lot of people don't take that leap because they're nervous,
Right.
right? Scared, kind of.
Yeah. No, 100%. Especially if that's what you're used to, and hey, I got this. I got my rent. It's however much, and I got my car payment, and then I got all these other bills, and it's like, if I don't make money this month, I'm not gonna have a car, I'm not gonna have a house, I'm not gonna have a phone, I'm not gonna have, A, B, C, whatever. And I think, the commission's kind of scary in that remark. So, like you said, definitely have money saved up because there's no guarantee that you're gonna make your first deal in the first week. Obviously, it's dependent on the market and who you jump in with, but I think that, um, yeah, That's kind of my opinion on it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about a little bit of the negative side of things. We talked about a little bit about what we do. There's a lot of positives to real estate too. If you are going to get in the business, make the jump. Obviously we'd love for you to interview at Brick and Loft. Come join us. I feel like we got something special. But reach out to us. But why real estate over anything else? Like, did you, some people maybe watch a TV show, had a premonition type of dream, you're like called to it. But what are some of why did you choose real estate maybe, and why did you end up or what are some of like the actual benefits of being in the business once you
Mhm.
get solidified?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it wasn't really like I was like, man, like one day, like I really wanted to be a real estate agent. It's just the opportunity kind of presented itself, and I was like, why not try it? What do I have to lose? Like
Mm,
I'm already doing something that I know that I don't want to do for the rest of my life. So it's
yeah,
like, what if I try this and it works out? Cool. If it doesn't work out, on to something else. That was kind of my outlook on it, and so yeah, I think that, some of the benefits of being in real estate, you make your own hours, you're your own business owner.
huge benefit.
So, um,
Huge.
I mean, if you want to go on vacation one weekend, you don't have to ask for time off. You know, you can plan accordingly, you can work remotely. Um, I mean, there are going to be days where you work more in real estate than you worked at your 9 to 5.
Yeah,
There are going to
most
be,
days.
yeah, most days.
Most days.
Yeah,
Most.
but
Yeah.
it's not like you're confined to trading your time for money and that you don't feel stuck.
Mm,
There's no ceiling with real estate. There's endless opportunity, and if you're one for competition, there's tons of it.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, it's definitely, I mean, you got to be a go-getter. You can't just sit back and wait for things to fall in your lap in real estate. You got to be on the phone. You got to, call people that you're uncomfortable with calling. Call your, uncle's brother you haven't talked to in 2 years, or your friend from college or whatever, and you just gotta build up your database and do that sort of thing. But I think that,
Wouldn't your uncle's brother be your dad?
yeah, it would, right? Your uncle's second
Yeah.
brother, yeah, whatever, yeah,
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 uncle's other brother.
yeah.
Yeah. No,
But anyway, yeah.
I'm on the same wavelength. I think that when you jump into real estate, it's scary. You're spending all this money to get in. There's so many other people that are already doing the business. But the cool thing about real estate, is one of the benefits is you're kind of handling your own sphere. So
Yep.
just because people like working with who they know, and
Mhm,
so and like, so if they
mhm,
know you and like you, and there's other 19 other realtors in Lubbock, but they don't necessarily have a connection with any of those people because they're in your sphere, then you have the ability to reach out to those people and create business. So there's always room for people doing the business. I always say that there's room for the best. So if you're
right.
really willing to put in the work, make the calls, show up on time, do the things that you're supposed to be doing, really be a sponge, learn training, really build your business. I think that you can make a foothold in any
Mhm,
industry,
mhm,
especially in real estate. And I would say my number one benefit is my flexibility and time, like kind of like you mentioned. Just
right.
if it's Tuesday and I don't want to work that day, I don't have to.
Yeah,
If I don't want to show up to the office, nobody's going to be down my throat. Hey, you got to show up. I
yep,
don't have to ask for bathroom time. I don't have to ask for lunch time. I can go take my lunch early. I can take an extended lunch. I can do it in the afternoon. Sometimes we got to take really late lunches or skip lunches because we're working.
right,
And then my favorite part is if you're like, hey, look, next weekend I just want to go dip my toes in the sand, right? I can be
right.
gone. And at the same time, I have my phone with me. So, the double-edged sword is you can always be working anywhere. So
Mhm,
you can always be working anywhere, right? Like you're
right.
you're almost like on the beach, but you're on the phone. But at least I'm on the beach.
Yeah,
But I'm still doing business, making deals. I've sold plenty of houses literally in a chair in the sand watching the waves, and people calling like, hey, we're bringing you a contract. And I'm like calling people, like negotiating deals back and forth. And that's some of my favorite memories of doing deals like that. It's
right.
just like, and I tell you what, I don't know what it is, if it's the grace of God or just the irony, but every time I leave town, stuff pops off
Yep,
and it gets wild, and everybody's like wanting to buy everything all of a sudden and wants to see all these houses. And I'm like, where were you guys the past 180 days when I didn't
right.
travel? And then all of a sudden, the 1 2 day span that I decided to leave, you're like, everybody's ready to do something, pull the
Yep,
trigger. But I can't tell you how much business I've referred because I was out of town for that 2 3 days and people were like ready to roll.
right.
So it always seems to work out that way.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
yeah, but what do you think about any final thoughts of real estate? Somebody wanting to get in the business or what you enjoyed about it? You have any lasting thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I enjoyed about it was, probably um just the hustle. I mean, a lot of people don't like working, but in real estate, I think it's fun.
Yep.
And it's rewarding too. Being able to not only, help people get into a home that they love with their family and that sort of thing. It gives you a sense of accomplishment
Mm,
on helping somebody and such a big step in their life. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me is doing that. And then also, I think that it's just really good to meet a ton of people. Like I'm from Lubbock, but 95% of my deals are from people I don't even know.
yeah,
So,
that's kind of
the
cool.
networking and being able to meet people, I think that's probably the best two highlights of it, I think.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, I was looking at some quotes earlier, and it's I don't know if you know this guy. His name's Franklin D. Roosevelt, but you should.
Yeah.
Okay, you went through history class.
Yeah.
He said, "Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care. It is the about the safest investment in the world." I thought that was pretty cool. It's
Right.
there's in this list, there's you got like Oprah Winfrey, you've got Mark Twain, you've got like I said, Franklin Roosevelt. There's tons of Theodore Roosevelt. People talk about real estate over the course of history, and
Right.
if you look at anybody that has any kind of high end wealth or high income earner, they own real estate in some degree.
Yeah.
So it is
Yep.
something that if you want to create a legacy, you want to create that wealth for your family, that freedom, you're going to almost guaranteed have to be in real estate in some form or fashion. And
Right.
so even and don't take that as a daunting thing, but you can take it in small chunks, just starting somewhere. Even your own personal house purchase is an investment, right?
Right.
Even having your own home, at least now you're not paying rent. Now something's going towards your equity, and then
Hmm.
from there you can build and you can scale and you can learn. A
Right.
lot of people, I think, are just too scared to touch their toe in the water because they think it's freezing, right? And it's like they don't realize there's a pool heater. Maybe
Yeah.
lukewarm. It's going to feel okay. It's going to be kind of cold, but it's bearable. You get in, you learn, you start learning to swim, learn to deal with the temperature, and then you
Right.
really can start rock and roll with some real estate. So
Yeah. Well, real estate's made the most amount of millionaires, man. So
yeah, it's made me the most money in my career. I mean, it's
yeah.
one of the only things I've ever done, but
Yeah.
I think you can say the same. So
Yeah.
I've
So
enjoyed it.
I don't really have a lot to compare it to,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's
I
definitely good for me.
wouldn't
So
trade it for the world. So,
yeah.
honestly, if you guys are looking to do some real estate, looking to buy some real estate, me and Colin obviously can help you. We talked about mentorship training. We'd love to do that as well. You don't have to necessarily pay us, depending on how much time you're going to take.
Right.
If you really want like in depth, training, but if you want to come shadow, see what we do, or just have questions, we're pretty dang familiar with the Lubbock market. We do a lot here, and we do a lot with the investing side of things. So we kind of encompass everything. Do some commercial, do a little bit of everything,
Right.
and we definitely enjoy it and take care of our clients. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, holler at us, subscribe. Make sure you reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you. And yeah, stay frosty. Am I saying?
All right,
I'm gonna make it a
man. All right, man. All
thing.
right.